makers and market movers. This is The Pulse with Francine Lacqua.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, happy CPI. Welcome to The Pulse. I'm Francine Lacqua here in London with the conversations that matter. And here's what's coming up on today's program. Investors await U.S. inflation data for clues on the Fed's next move. European gas prices ease after jumping yesterday by the most since March last year, as possible LNG strikes in Australia threaten global supply. Plus, Novo Nordisk says supply of its blockbuster obesity drug, Wegovy, will continue to be restricted in the U.S. as the company struggles to increase capacity. We'll be speaking to the chief executive very shortly. Now, let's take a look at the European markets map, because the focus is firmly on what some of investors are thinking, not only on the future path for Fed. I know there's priced into the markets a possible cut by the end of the year, though it's much smaller than 3-4 weeks ago. And then after, of course, the CPI print, we have a couple of other data points. It'll be interesting speaking to our guests throughout the day to see exactly how they calibrate what kind of number we get today. So for the moment, you can see the FTSE 100 is pretty much unchanged. We're seeing gains for the DAX, the CAC 1%, and the FTSE MIB over in Milan 0.8% higher. The big story is, of course, the U.S. 10-year yield. Now, not only because of what's happening with the CPI print later, but just because we had a couple of bond auctions, and the 10-year, there was a bond auction yesterday. It also went smoothly for the moment, 4.0050. And what we hear from CPI will set the tone, really, for future Federal Reserve Bank presidents over the next couple of weeks to give us an indication of how they see this inflation progressing. Again, this is quite linked to what we're seeing with the price of energy. And there are a couple of economists that say we could see an easing in inflation and then a sharp pickup towards the end of the year. The other story that we've covered quite extensively is Country Garden. We have a story today on the Bloomberg terminal, amongst our best read stories, about the person at the top of Country Garden and how much wealth they've lost. They're falling deeper into distressed levels. Again, there was a coupon payment that did not happen on Monday. They have 30 days to do that, so everyone almost daily are on tenterhooks. Then we look at travel and leisure. We also look at energy. Travel and leisure, there's a bit of easing from China on their citizens being able to travel, and so that's giving a nice boost. So this is year to date, actually in the last 12 months, but today we see a nice little boost for some of these, travel companies, but also luxury companies. And energy is, of course, our big story because of the LNG, and we're seeing gains across the board. But let's get back to the CPI print. Let's get back to Ven Ram, who joins us now from Dubai. Ven, thank you for joining us. We're looking at energy. We're looking at what's happening with the CPI print later. We're, of course, looking at Fed expectations. It seems that the market is really discounting some of the bad news out there. Do you agree?
Yeah, morning, Francine. Yes, the market's taken pretty much all the bad news. I mean, particularly starting from the Fitch ratings downgrade last week. I mean, we saw a huge spike in yields, in particularly the long-dated yields, but that has completely reversed now, and bonds are pretty much trading at where they were trading before the Fitch review. And of course, the crucial input is going to be today's CPI data. So let's see how that plays out.
Ven, just very quickly, how do you expect markets to react depending on what kind of inflation print we get?
Well, I mean, pretty much the consensus expectation is that we are going to get a tick up in headline inflation. But for my money, I would be watching the core inflation data. It's expected around 4.7%. If that ticks meaningfully higher, we should perhaps expect the Fed to be a bit more cautious in calling a pause in September, because at 4.7%, even if it comes around, say, 4.9 or 5%, that would mean that the real policy rate would just be about 50 basis points. That may not be posing sufficient restraint on inflation. So if the core inflation ticks higher, I would be worried for front-end treasuries.
Okay, Ven, thank you so much for your insight, as always. Ven Ram, of course, one of our strategists, and follow his and MLive's blog. Now, Novo Nordisk says the supply of its blockbuster obesity medicine, Wegovy, will continue to be restricted in the U.S. as it struggles to increase capacity. Now, this comes as a Danish drug maker raises its profit and sales outlook for the year. Joining us now is Novo Nordisk, the president and chief executive, Lars Fruergaard Joergensen. Thank you so much, as always, for giving us a little bit of your busy schedule. I feel like you're the man of the hour. I mean, there's no other talk in town about this drug or these drugs and how much demand can increase. What's your main concern right now Mr. Fruergaard Joergensen, are you comfortable that you can meet demand for these drugs?
Yeah, so thank you, Francine, for having me. So I'm not concerned at all. This is a really unique opportunity for Novo Nordisk. We have seen a tremendous willingness to use our obesity medicine, not least in the US, but also in Europe, where we have launched. We have this week announced a set of really attractive cardiovascular data, not yet in the label, so we cannot promote them. So this is just going to push the demand even bigger. And we want to make sure that patients who start on treatment can stay on treatment. So we will keep restricting a bit the starter doses in the US to make sure that patients can have a good experience and titrate up to the maintenance dose. But we have all dose strengths available in the US. We are increasing manufacturing. So this is indeed a very, very positive outlook.
So what are you telling me? Shorter term, we could have more shortages, but then in the longer term, it'll be easier. Again, at what point do you anticipate to be able to meet demand fully?
Well, we have guided over the past quarters that we are expanding our manufacturing. We have new lines coming in. We have extra lines starting this year being ramped up. We have more lines coming in. So we'll constantly keep growing. If you look at our financial reports from this quarter, you can see a massive growth in the GLP-1 based products, growing 50, 100, 200, 300%. So volumes are going up significantly. Now, I don't know how demand will develop. It looks like it'll develop very strongly also because of our latest data. So we cannot tell exactly when we'll be able to meet demand because we don't know what that demand is. But I can tell you that we'll be increasing manufacturing, and this is going to drive growth of Novo Nordisk also in the coming quarters.
Affordability, of course, is a huge issue for patients and will be becoming even more so if insurers start looking at covering some of these drugs. How do you justify charging 4 times as much in the US as you do in Germany?
Well, you have to factor in that in the US, rebates are also being paid. So the prices you allude to are different in real world. We are launching in the US, and supplies are going to the US to a large degree right now. We just came out with a strong cardiovascular protective profile to be added to the label we expect. So I think the value of obesity care is being established these years. And most of our patients in the US are on insurance schemes, and they have a very low copay individually.
Are you seeing a shift in payer attitudes given the profiles of these drugs? Do you think they'll really catch up into other jurisdictions as well?
Well, we have seen in the US, where we launched first, a high willingness among payers to adopt anti-obesity medicine when you get to the weight loss profile like we bring. In Europe, it's still to a lower degree reimbursed, and that's why it's important that we now have the prospects of adding the cardiovascular safety to the label. And I believe that treating obesity is going to be one of the healthcare interventions that's going to have the strongest return in terms of preventing diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and a number of cancers. There are more than 200 comorbidities linked to obesity. So yes, I do believe that for payers, this is going to be a very attractive proposition, and increasingly so with the latest data we have reported.
When do you expect to launch Wegovy in the UK, and what's holding you back right now?
We have launched in a few markets. In each and every market, we have seen a very, very steep uptake. So continuity of care is important for us. So we will gradually be rolling out also outside of the US. We have recently launched in Germany, which is a focused launch because there was a window of opportunity there to make a special obesity program. And we'll gradually be going to other markets in similar fashions. I cannot comment on those exact launch dates, unfortunately.
But if you look at some of the questions, and some investors are spooked by some of the data indicating, for example, that most people that stopped taking GLP-1 drugs within the first year of treatment then revert back to what they had before. Like, how long do you recommend people stay on these drugs for?
What we see is that The latest product, semaglutide-based product, actually brings significantly higher weight loss than what has been seen in the past. And I think some of those prior reports has been studied, data studied before Wegovy was launched. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that obesity is a chronic disease. We see that being on treatment reduces cardiovascular disease when you use a product like semaglutide 2.4 milligram. And patients should really stay on that treatment to have the benefit. And you are preventing other comorbidities that would otherwise have led to you being on chronic treatment for those conditions. So this is a long-term understanding of obesity being a disease, the value of being on treatment, and then the value for the individual patient, but also healthcare systems. So I think there's going to be a tremendous value case for the individual patient, but also for healthcare society by being on treatment for years.
Mr. Fruergaard, I mean, it's really incredible how this has captured the imagination of A-lister celebrities, Hollywood. Elon Musk was also tweeting about some of these drugs. Is that daunting that you could almost have a trial by tweet or a trial by TikTok if something were to happen and go wrong?
I think the key thing here is that we are approaching a time where around a billion people live with obesity. And this is something that impacts individuals a lot. And so for the first time, we see that there's advent of efficacious medicine to treat that. And when you have lived with obesity for years, many significant part of their life, and have tried a lot of things to mitigate that, and now then there's an opportunity to reverse that, that creates a lot of excitement, a lot of hope, and that is what drives the demand that we are working hard to fulfill. And that's a huge opportunity for the individual living with obesity, for society, as I mentioned, and obviously also for a company like Novo Nordisk, who has spent a quarter of our life, turning 100 years this year. So we spent more than 25 years researching and developing products in obesity at a time when nobody felt that was possible. But we kept at it, and now we see an inflection point that is really, really exciting for patients and the future growth of Novo Nordisk.
Thank you so much for your time today. That was the President and Chief Executive of Novo Nordisk, Lars Fruergaard Joergensen, joining us this morning after coming out with results. Now, coming up, also Zurich Insurance has posted first half profit gain boosted by growth in the property and casualty business. We'll be speaking to the Chief Executive, Mario Greco. That's up next, and this is Bloomberg. Welcome back, everyone. Zurich Insurance has posted a 3% rise in adjusted profit for the first half, aided by growth in the property and casualty business and in life insurance. Now, group operating profit rose to $3.7 billion, which the company says represents the firm's highest ever return on equity. Well, joining us now to discuss these results is the Chief Executive of Zurich Insurance. He's Mario Greco. Thank you so much for joining us. When you look, Mr. Greco, about some of the questions that a lot of investors have, it's really, when you look at your outlook for insurance finance income and expenses, what do those look like?
First of all, let me say that we're very pleased with the numbers and the situation. I think that most of the questions belong to what's the forecast that we have for the rest of the year, and especially where prices will go. And our view has been already last year that prices will continue to grow, and actually H1 has confirmed this. We see double-digit price increases in commercial insurance, especially in property insurance. We think that commercial auto has to grow double-digit to repair the losses that has been delivering to all of us, to the market, over the last 6 months or over the year. And we think that retail has been accelerating on price movements, and this is restoring the lost profitability of retail. So we remain committed to price increases and to have better margins by year end.
And how do you explain the fact that actually people still want some of these products, even if prices go up in the middle of a cost of living crisis?
Well, I mean, the risks are moving up, and so there should be a balance. And although we do understand and we're socially responsible, But it was also quite evident last year that the cost of the losses, the cost of the claims, was growing above the price of policies. And so that needs to be restored. Now, if I can expand a little bit on climate and sustainability, the underlying problem that we have is that the cost will continue to rise until we start investing significant amount of money into preventing and into minimizing the consequences of climate. So climate will continue producing this. And the way to fix it is not to, is not to pay the claims, or is not to reduce, the cost of insurance, is to prevent and to build more resilient, safer places for all of us. And we're very engaged with that.
I know you're very engaged, but at the same time, I think you were one of the many companies that withdrew from the Net Zero Climate Alliance back in May. So why and could that have made a difference?
Yeah, that's okay. Let me explain that. What we see today is that the climate situation worldwide has changed a lot. I mean, years ago there was a strong government, political, and I would say global support for climate issues. Over the years, this has been fading away. So what we realized, I would say, some months ago, was that we need more and more to stand by ourselves on both our commitments, our principles, and our purpose in making this planet a livable planet for all of us. And we feel the responsibility towards the customers, towards all our colleagues, to the employees, and to all stakeholders. So this is what we did. I mean, all these alliances and committees, I think they are losing impact because they have become highly political and highly bureaucratic over time, and they don't represent anymore the commitment of single companies. And I think this will become more and more evident over time in the next months.
Mr. Greco, when you look at some of the things that you've sold off, I know you've sold off a portfolio of German life insurance policies to Viridium Group. Can you hear me, Mario Greco? Or maybe the line has fallen.
I have no sound.
I think we'll try and reestablish connection, and then we'll get back to Mario Greco. I know they were, for example, selling a portfolio of German life insurance policies. So we'll try and get him on the line to ask whether there's anything else up for sale or whether there's anything he wants to buy. The Chief Executive of Zurich Insurance, Mario Greco. We'll have plenty more, of course, on earnings. We also have the UK show coming up. This is Bloomberg. Welcome back, everyone. Now let's continue our discussion with the Chief Executive of Zurich Insurance, Mario Greco. Mario, thank you so much for coming back on. Now, we were talking a little bit about what you've been divesting so far. I know you sold a portfolio of German life insurance policies to Viridium Group. Is there anything else that you want to sell off right now?
No, not really. We're done with the life sales. This was a commitment we took after the beginning of the pandemic. And we're happy with the executed transactions, and now we just want to finish them, deliver the benefits, and move on.
Any acquisitions on the horizon? If you look at geographies or space where you want to be enforced in, would it be organically, or can you actually buy something?
Our growth, our organic growth is very, very strong. I mean, we've been growing 10% in property and casualty, 18% in life. Clearly above markets, which means we've been recuperating market shares, and we continue a trend that started a couple of years ago, and I'm very glad with that. We have been looking at the market constantly. We keep looking at the market constantly. I mean, all acquisitions that we made over the past years, with very few exceptions, have been either in Asia or in the United States. And I think that we will continue with this approach, not that we're not interested into Europe and South America, but there are much less properties available for transactions in these two geographies. US and Asia offer a variety of properties, and we will keep looking and scanning.
All right, thank you so much, as always, for your time. That was the Chief Executive of Zurich Insurance, Mario Greco, and I hope to see you actually in the studio here in London very soon. Now, coming up, we'll have a full show on the UK. We'll talk about the City of London, we'll talk about the Bank of England, and of course today it's CPI data in the US. So when you look at what treasuries are doing, we had two auctions, shorter term dated treasuries 2 days ago, and then yesterday we had the longer one. Both auctions actually went okay, so there's a bit of respite in the markets globally that will be fine. Coming up, our exclusive interview also with the Chief Executive of Phoenix Group, one of the UK pension providers, to sign up to the government's Mansion House reform. So we'll talk that. We'll look at the outlook for the City of London and the outlook for the Bank of England. That's coming up next, and this is Bloomberg.